over the past 20 years. What will you do to stem the cost of higher education going forward?
Well, first
you
of
have
all,
30 seconds.
First of all, what you should do is get rid of federal funding of any college that raise their costs. Get rid of federal funding of any college that raise their costs. That's the first thing that you should do.
So that is what you would do. We're asking what you would do.
Well, any college that raise their costs, I get rid of any federal funding that they're going to get.
Thank you.
You know,
We're moving on.
I find it interesting that folks are
Senator
offended
Warnock,
by...
Senator Warnock,
yes.
I'm going to give you this one. I'm going to give you a pass for 15 seconds.
I will be very brief, I promise.
Very brief.
It's interesting to me that folks who have been crying about the student debt relief haven't said anything about multi-billionaire corporate entities who've gotten PPP loans. I wonder why Mr.
We're going to move on. We're moving on. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Warnock. Your time is up. Mr. Walker, we are moving on.
Yes,
we're going to move on to minimum wage, gentlemen. We have a lot to get through tonight. We've made that clear at the top of the hour. So let's get as many questions as we can in, because Georgia voters want to know where you stand on these issues. They have to make a decision. Let them know tonight. Buck?
Thank you, Tina. Now, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 14% of Georgians live in poverty. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, a number that has not increased since 2009. Let's do this by a simple showing of hands. Raise your hand if you support a federal minimum wage.
I can't imagine.
Okay, Mr. Walker, you did not raise your hand, so I'd like to ask you, first of all, why not?
Wow, really?
What would you do to help struggling Georgians?
Well, when you say a federal...
it's not hard, Herschel.
I think right now, and he said
dude.
that I want the federal government. No, he wants the federal government to run your life. Right now, I think you have to work with different corporations.
He doesn't know what the federal minimum wage is.
Just where they can.
Congratulations, you're a fucking
some
idiot.
companies right now, and he should know this, after getting the All-Star game moved out of Atlanta, they destroyed a lot of small businesses. So those small businesses couldn't pay $15, $20 an hour. So they have to pay what they're capable of paying. So to mandate a federal fee that they have to pay hourly wage.
Not what the federal minimum wage is. That's
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, you did not raise your hand, so why not, and what would you do to help struggling Georgians?
I believe in the dignity of work, and I believe in the dignity of workers. I watched my dad work really hard to take care of his family, and I've seen what we call essential workers, these folks who are on the front line, stand up for us in the midst of the pandemic. We call them essential workers. They deserve an essential wage and essential benefits. In other words, workers deserve to participate in the prosperity that they are creating for others. And so I've been a part of this conversation around the minimum wage. I think people need a livable wage. And some of that is being addressed right now in this strong labor market. So I'm willing to work with folks in the corporate community as well as the labor community to figure out how we get to a good place. But there's no question, people deserve to participate in the prosperity that they're creating for others. They deserve a livable wage, and they deserve benefits.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. We're going to move to our next topic. Tina?
And that topic is crime and violence. In June, Congress passed the first bipartisan legislation to combat gun violence in 30 years. According to a Pew Research poll released in July, 78% of Americans think the new gun law will do little or nothing to reduce gun violence. Senator Warnock, I turn to you first. As the number of shootings in Georgia and across the nation continue to rise, what should be done? What should the next step be to solve this issue? You have to answer this question, sir, and I give you 1 minute.
Well, I'm glad that we finally passed the first gun safety law in 30 years. And we did that on a bipartisan basis. I believe that this law will indeed save lives, and I'd like to see us work and see what we can achieve beyond that on a bipartisan basis. My heart goes out when I see the kinds of tragedies that we're witnessing all across our state, all across our country, and it's the reason why I have passed legislation to support law enforcement. I passed the largest investment in the COPS program in a decade. I introduced legislation called Invest to Protect that's endorsed by the sheriffs of Burke County and Scriven County because it supports some of our smaller law enforcement entities. So we got to stand up with law enforcement, but we've also got to create opportunity.
Senator Warnock, thank you. Mr. Walker, we're posing the same question to you, sir. In 1 minute, what should the next step be to solve gun violence?
Well, first of all, any law or bill passed that will affect anyone's Second Amendment, I'm not going to stand for, and I won't support.
Cool.
But
Black Lives
third,
Matter, right, guys?
To hear Senator Warnock talks about supporting law enforcement is sad because he's called them names. And because of the name calling he's done, the morale is down, recruitment is down.
Because
Really
Raphael
because of what
Warnock
he's
called him
done.
a
He's
name.
empowered
Oh,
criminals
cops are so sad.
to think they're better than the police. And because he believes in no cash bail, is releasing prisoners, he don't protect the border. Fentanyl is coming to this country and also into Atlanta. 70% of the drugs coming from the border goes to Atlanta, Georgia.
70%?
About
what is going on in Georgia? I think that might be a made-up statistic. All the drugs? Everyone in Georgia's on fentanyl.
Right now. And I even have some sheriffs here. They've endorsed me because they know I have their back. They're going to have my backs. So to listen to him say that after calling them name, I think is a disgrace.
Mr. Walker, thank you. I have a follow-up now for both of you.
That's wild,
I think I ought to be able to respond to that.
I will give you the opportunity, 15 seconds to respond, Senator Warnock.
We will see time and time again tonight, as we've already seen, that my opponent has a problem with the truth.
Oof. Hey, there you go.
And just because he said something doesn't mean it's true.
My man.
I have supported our police officers. I've called them and I've prayed with their families, like those officers lost in Cobb County when they were killed, doing what police officers routinely do. You can support police officers, as I've done, through the COPS program, through the Invest to Protect program, while at the same time holding police officers, like all professions, accountable. One thing I have not done, I've never pretended to be a police officer.
Oh, damn.
And I've never threatened a shootout with the police.
Oh. And now I have to respond to that.
What's up, Brad?
No.
Let's not move on now.
You know what's so funny? I am with many police officers, and at the same time,
Mr. Walker.
No.
Hold on.
Mr. Walker,
When he
please,
said a problem
out of
with the
respect,
truth is
I need
here.
to let you know, Mr.
Yes.
Walker, you are very well aware of the rules tonight.
Yes.
And you have a prop.
Yes.
That is not allowed, sir. I ask you to put that prop away.
Well, it's not a problem. This is real. And he said, I have a problem. I never
it
worked
is
with law
considered
enforcement.
a prop, Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes.
You're
Your
very
fake
well
badge is a
aware of
prop.
the rules, aren't you?
Well,
Aren't you aware of the
he
rules?
brought up the truth. Let's talk about the truth.
Thank you for putting that prop away. And as a matter of fact, we still have a lot to get to, and we are not going to continue this. We're going to follow up with a question, and this is according to the CDC. Homicide is the leading cause of death for African American youth. Mr. Walker, in 30 seconds, why do you believe this is happening, and what would you do to stop it?
Well, what I would do
Please
is
hit him
hold
with the
people
Black Lives
accountable,
Matter
which
line.
is Senator
Please,
Warnock
throw it
not
right back in
doing.
his face.
Believing in no cash bail.
Please tell me it's because black fathers aren't in the home.
People must be accountable for their action. And the truth lies with Senator Warnock, because he said he was going to Washington to represent Georgia. He went to Washington to represent Joe Biden. That's the reason we're in the mess we're in today.
Man, that's like the fourth time he's thrown that line out. That's all he's got, man.
You don't have much.
Senator Warnock, this follow-up for you.
He's gotten
Same
real
question.
good talking about
What do you
watching
believe homicides among African American youth is growing? Why are those homicides growing, sir? And how
Hit him with the
do
Black
we
Lives
stop?
Matter thing, man. Throw it right back in his face.
Well, it's heartbreaking. And I've seen this up close as a pastor. I've presided over some of these funerals. I've met with young people. And we have to have rules and laws in the society, which I support and I've invested in as a legislator. At the same time, we have to create opportunity. There's no sickness like the loss of hope. When people lose hope, when they doubt that their life can be any longer or that they can dream of something bigger than the street they live on, a lot of things can happen. I grew up in one of those neighborhoods, but I had a nurturing family, and I benefited from good federal public policy. like the Head Start program, like Upward Bound, like Pell Grants and low-interest student loans. And to invest in our children is to invest in our best resource.
Senator Warnock, thank you. We are moving
he lit
on,
that fucking
gentlemen,
he
to
lit
the
that
next
answer up.
question, and this topic
I
is
have.
So
about
I did watch the
integrity.
entire debate.
We're
My
gonna shift gears
favorite
a little
answer
bit
so
here.
far has
Senator
been
Warnock, in 2020, you
Hershel
tweeted
Walker
this.
on student loans.
Unemployment
The
benefits
obvious, like,
expired.
didn't read
Rent
the
is due, and
assignment
many
before the
Georgia
test
families
answer
are at risk of
of all
eviction.
time.
My opponents are
Or didn't know
supposed
what
to be
fucking
serving the
federal minimum
people
wage
in
was.
Washington,
Yeah.
but they are clearly concerned with their own interests. Well, recent published reports talk about a property that your church owns, Columbia Towers at MLK Village in Atlanta. It's a home for the disadvantaged. At least a dozen lawsuits have been filed by residents evicted for not being able to pay their rent. Some of the outstanding balances are less than $30. As someone who receives more than $7,000 a month for a housing allowance from Ebenezer Baptist Church, how do you explain this to Georgia voters who are struggling currently to make ends meet?
Well, let me say that serving in the United States Senate and continuing to serve my church is the honor of my life. And it gives me a lens through which to do the work that I'm doing. But here's why you know I'm running against a desperate candidate. Anytime a candidate would stoop to the level of trying to sully the name, he and his allies, to sully the name of Martin Luther King Jr.'s church and John Lewis's church, you know that's a desperate candidate. Let me tell you about my church. My church is a Matthew 25 church. We spend every week, every day feeding the hungry and the homeless. They know that those false charges that they've created are not true. We stand up for poor people every single day, and I ran for the Senate to do at a policy level what we do at a local level every single day. I'm not going to be distracted by him and his allies. My people know the truth. They know the work we do every single day, and I couldn't be prouder of them. Proud to represent the Senate and proud to serve Ebenezer Baptist Church.
So just to clarify, your position is that the allegations in these lawsuits are not true?
I am saying that it is very obvious that my opponent and his allies are busy trying to sully Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Yeah, you should have just said yes.
That's what I'm aware of.
Too many words. There's too many words.
Switching gears a little bit here, sir. Your ex-wife filed a lawsuit asking for increased child support, saying that she had to pay for child care on days that your duties as a senator interfered with your parenting time, and citing significant increases in your income. In 30
they're talking
seconds,
about his.
what is your response to that lawsuit?
Who was that?
Listen, I went through a divorce, like a lot of people. And while that was a painful period, what came out of that was two amazing children that I just talked to before I came on this stage.
I like how they allowed Walker to just brush this shit away, but they're,
of course,
they're going to hold him to this
and
shit.
that I support them in every single way
Till the follow-up,
that a
at least.
father does.
You're not...
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Now to you, Mr. Walker. Recent ads have highlighted
You have
allegations
75
of past
kids?
domestic
Could you
violence. They've raised questions about how transparent you've been as far as your resume. In 1 minute, how do you respond to voters who question your integrity, both personally and professionally?
First of all, I've been very transparent, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I say I had a mental problem, and I'll be a champion for mental health because so many people suffer from mental health.
But you still
have people like Senator Warnock that demonize mental health. When I want to tell everyone out there, you can get help. Don't listen to Senator Warnock and his people. You can get help. All you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask.
Listen to the voices in my head.
The problem with the truth, you just saw it.
Just don't count on the federal government or Republicans to fund
the
programs.
people from the church.
That's your
and I told them I will pay their salary. You're evicting them right now during these hard times.
We have not evicted. We have not evicted those
I
tenants.
didn't write the article.
I didn't
write the article. And most of the people out there still my time.
I'm okay with the discussion if we start talking over each other.
We have not evicted the
then I can
tenants.
speak, Senator.
And he should take that money
No, you
and pay
cannot
it back
speak.
to the veterans that he exploited while
Yeah,
pretending
I
to
like
run
that too. And
not-for-profit.
see, you can tell that he's not desperate because if he had read in that thing, he would have saw that I had nothing to do with that. But he is so desperate right now, and he really want that seat. He's now telling you, I didn't evict anyone. It is written in the paper. I didn't do this. Well, Senator, you did.
Oh, are we?
It's okay to
is
speak
it
the
because
truth.
it's written in a newspaper? It's real? Is that what we're doing? Holy shit!
Do
Are you
not
sure?
bear false witness.
Mr. Walker, to keep this moving, I want to follow up with you. You have been very open on your,
Amazing.
Mr. Senator Warnock, we need to move forward here. You have been very open about your struggles with mental illness, and you even wrote a book about your diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder. We recently asked if you were still receiving treatment, and this is what you had to say.
No, that's all done, and you don't need to, and that's why I tell
all
people.
done?
I think one thing
All
I
of
told
it?
people is, I've been open about it, and I was open about it 14 years ago.
Mr.
No,
Walker, in 30
it's not all done.
seconds, can you
That's not how-
clarify
that's
this?
how it
Are you
works.
saying you no longer have dissociative identity disorder, or is this something that you continue to
Please say
mistake?
that.
No, you don't have to have treatment for it. And I encourage people to continue to talk to people. You know, I talk to my pastor.
What?
I talk to my pastor, and I continue to get help if I need help. But I don't need any help. I'm doing well. But that's the reason why I tell anyone out there that is suffering from any type of mental illness, you can get help. All you got to do is ask. And I will always, always be a champion for mental health.
And just to clarify, how can Georgia voters, though, be assured that this will not impact your ability to lead if elected?
Because I'm ready to lead today.
Me
I'm ready
and
to
all
vote
of my
with the Georgia
personalities.
voters.
We're all
Last
ready.
Senator Warnock has voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time.
What the fuck
I'm
is
ready to vote with the Georgia voters today.
And I will vote with
Gentlemen, we'll
Trump
move on to our next topic. Tina?
all
And
the
that
time
topic,
as well.
gentlemen, is
What are you
health
arguing?
insurance. Georgia is one of 12 states that have not accepted
Herschel Walker
federal
doesn't need
funding
those
to
glasses,
expand
right? Like
Medicaid
he's
under
No,
Medicare.
I swear to God, he's putting them on just so he can take them off.
So he can take them off.
More
Yeah,
than 1.5 million Georgians uninsured. In 1 minute, is it time for the federal government to step in to ensure all Georgians have access to health care?
Well, right now, people have coverage for health care. It's according to what type of coverage do you want. Because if
Good
you have
coverage?
an able-bodied job, you're going to have health care. But everyone else have health care is the type of health care you're going to get. And I think that is the problem.
What
does that
Senator
even
Warnock
mean?
want you to do is depend on the government. What I want you to do is get off the government health care and get on the health care he's got to get you a better health care.
That's government health-
Trying to do is make
That's
you
government health
independent
care. What are you
rather
talking
than
about?
dependent.
What are you talking
Thank
about?
you, Mr. Walker. Senator Warnock, you have
What?
1 minute. You've vowed to
I don't know how to
close
answer
the
that.
Medicaid
My
gap
opponent is an idiot.
by expanding access coverage
What are you
in the Affordable Care Act marketplace. So this comes with a $50 billion price tag, the national debt already at an all-time high.
Who cares? Who
Where
cares?
is this money coming from?
No, no
have
one
60
cares about
60
that.
seconds, sir.
No one cares about the national.
This is not a theoretical issue for me. When I think about healthcare, I think about Lori Davis, a trauma nurse.
Kenta,
in
I have no
Covington,
idea it
Georgia,
was
who
madness.
spent her career taking care of people. And then she got sick and she had to give up that job. And as she got sicker and sicker, she found herself without health care. She was one of the 600,000 Georgians in the Medicaid gap. She died for lack of health care. And so I ran saying that I would fight to expand Medicaid. Georgia needs to expand Medicaid. It costs us more not to expand. What we're doing right now is we're subsidizing health care in other states. Meanwhile, we've seen 10 hospitals in this state
Yeah, somehow
close,
that never
10.
gets brought up. Like, who do
And
you
the
think
Atlanta Medical Center
covers
right
all
down
those
the street
unpaid
from my
hospital
church,
bills?
where I visit my members, has announced that it's going to close. And so Georgia needs a senator who believes, like I do, that health care is a human right. And I will continue to fight until the working class people, by the way, the folks who don't have health care, they work every single day. The folks who are in the gap,
and I believe in the
the folks,
extension of
let me
healthcare.
finish. The
And your
folks,
time was
the
up,
folks who
Senator.
are in the gap, the folks who are in the gap are the working poor.
We are moving on, Senator
And I
Warnock.
believe in health care, but he didn't mention
Listen,
that he
Mr.
got-
Walker, if I can get your attention, please. In just a few weeks, WellStar will close its doors.
Just
This
over
is
here.
Atlanta Medical
Just
Center,
jiggling
which
your-
primarily serves patients in lower income and
What?
minority communities. Hospitals
Football.
nationwide are dealing with nursing shortages, doctor shortages in the wake of the pandemic. Mr. Walker, what measures can Congress enact to ensure everyone has access to hospitals and doctors? You have 30 seconds, sir.
Well, first of all, Senator Warnock was correct that he believed in working with people, but he didn't do it because Governor Kemp has a plan that would have been a very good plan. But he stood back while Biden destroyed the plan. And he's talking about
What does that mean?
Talking about?
He stood back. Well, what the people can be assured of is I'm willing to meet with hospital administrators, meet with people rather than writing a letter.
Because
Senator Warnock waited till they made the decision and wrote a letter. And I said, they don't need a pen pal. They need solutions.
We are moving on now. Senator
I can't
Warnock,
imagine the
that
type
same
of
question
moron
to
who
you,
listens
sir.
to him is like, this
What
guy makes no
measures can
sense.
Congress enact to ensure everyone
I hate to be
hospitals
like
and
this being a
doctors?
bad
You
omen,
have
but
30
this
seconds.
debate is very much
clearly
like
doesn't have a
the
solution.
Homer Simpson versus
Well,
Ray
I said
Stevenson
I'll
for
meet with
trash
administrators.
collector
That's
debate.
He said
You do that.
his solution is to meet. My solution is to pass legislation, which I've done. I got
you're not the
$4
mayor of
billion
the town,
in the
dumbass.
American Rescue Plan to help the non-expansion states to do what they should have done to expand. They left that money on the table. Georgia left 600,000 Georgians in the Medicaid gap. And so I'm going to keep standing up because people are literally dying for lack of health care.
Sorry,
Dr.
the
King
thing
said
is
that of
frozen.
all the
That's not me.
injustices, inequality in health care is the most shocking and the most inhumane. I agree with Dr. King.
Thank you, Senator Warnock. Buck, now the next topic.
Come on, come on.
Hit that live button.
All right, that's the feed. So
Yep.
there's not much we can do.
Can you hover over to hit that live catch up button?
Oh, is there a live catch up button? I can't even see it.
There should be.
Hold on. God damn it. What?
The
is happening?
perils of live shows.
Sorry, guys. Shit just blew up.
I'm going to the chat. Trey's like, Hershel Walker pulled out his Spirit Halloween sheriff badge.
Yo, that's what it looks like, man. This shit is ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Okay, here we go.
And we kept that training center open. I've seen up close what those service members do. They are the tip of the spear, and we have to make sure that our service members know that we have their back. We have to strengthen our allies and the NATO alliance as we've done.
Oh,
and make sure
I
we
can't
stand
wait
up
to hear
Russian aggression.
Herschel Walker
Nothing
on
could be
foreign
more
policy.
important.
This is
Walker,
going to be
same
awesome.
question to you. If nuclear weapons are used, how should the U.S. respond? You have 60
Well, first of all,
That's
you
the
talked about
question?
standing up. You didn't stand up
Jesus.
to Chuck Schumer when you could have got a helicopter company here of almost $1 billion. You let it go to New York. You didn't stand up
Perfect,
then.
yes.
You didn't stand up to Biden when he left American people and had 13 military soldiers killed in Afghanistan. You didn't stand up then. So what we can do is Putin is a bully. And the way you beat a bully, you show strength. Well, Senator Warnock say he stood up. He not stood up to Biden. If he was standing up, he wouldn't have voted with him 96% of the time.
What does that have to do with fighting
It
Putin?
gave us an open border.
What does that have to do with
Which gave us
that?
high inflation, which gave us crime in the streets. And he talking about standing up.
We never had crime
He didn't stand up.
before Joe Biden.
He have laid down every time it came around. And you know that, Senator.
It is evident
I'd be
that
like,
he has
what does that
a
have to do with foreign
that he
policy?
tries to make time and time again. I've stood up to the Biden administration so that they could keep open this Combat Training Readiness Center, stood with our congressional delegation to do that. I've worked across the aisle time and time to get good things done for the people of Georgia. I worked with a senator from Texas to build out I-14. I worked with a Republican
I
senator from
also enjoyed
Alabama
the
to help
energy
Georgia farmers get their
independence
products to
statement at the
market.
beginning of the thing.
I will
Dude,
work
what
with
the fuck
anyone
was
and
that?
stand
Holy
up
shit.
against anybody
What?
I need to stand up against to get good things
Like,
done
no,
for
we've never
Georgia.
been
I
energy
work for the
independent.
people of Georgia.
We need to move forward to our
single
next
day.
topic,
No,
gentlemen.
he didn't even
Our
talk
time is
anything
running
about
short.
foreign
Both of you have
policy.
strong
He didn't say
backing
anything.
from your respective parties. Senator Warnock, a simple yes or no here. You will have a chance to explain, but I'd like a simple yes or no. Would you support President Biden running for a second term in
Yes.
2024?
I've not spent a minute thinking about what politicians should run for what in 2024.
Just say yes,
Is that a
dude.
yes or a no?
The answer is I have not.
Just say
and
yes,
maybe
dude.
this is
Just say
difficult.
yes. That's not a question to fucking
Maybe this is
do anything.
difficult for people to understand because that's how politicians think. I think that part of the problem with
Yes.
our politics
Captain
right
Crunk,
now
why does he keep bringing up the voting with Joe
is that it's
Biden? Because
become
it's
too
all
much
he has. That's what he was coached
the
to do.
politicians. You're asking me who's going to run in 24? The people of Georgia get to decide who's going to be their senator
Right
in
now.
3 days, Monday. And I hope they'll show up and vote.
That's fine,
I'd
but
be
just say
honored to
yes,
represent
dude.
them in the
That's
You haven't
that's
thought
a
about
gotcha
it. If
question.
you can think
Just-
about it
just say
now in
yes.
2024, the president will turn 82 years old. are you concerned about his physical and his mental fitness at that time? You have 30 seconds.
The people of Georgia hired me to represent them regardless of who's in the White House. I'm honored to do that job every single day. My
Yeah, I
dad
wouldn't
said,
have
if
answered it
somebody
like that.
hires you to do a job, do the job they hired you to do.
I wouldn't have answered it like that.
They didn't hire me to be a pundit. And I'm working every single day for hardworking families.
I get where he's coming from, though. It really doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean?
And for kids
I
like
get
me,
it, but then
growing up in
what I would have
places
done
like
is
Cape
I would have
May.
answered the question.
Mr.
Then I
Walker,
would have
former
done
President
this.
Trump is also
'Cause it
considering
looks like
a
you're
run for the
avoiding.
White House in 2024. If you can give me a simple yes or no answer, and we'll
Well,
give you
that's
time to
kind of-
explain as well. Would you support a Trump 2024 run?
Yes, I would.
See,
and let me tell you,
that's
'cause
all people
President
gonna
Trump
hear.
is my friend. Has nothing
love
to do
him.
with that. He's
Yeah,
my
but that's
friend, and I
not a
won't,
smart answer for him.
leave my
Like
allies,
you really,
which
if you're
is
him,
what
you shouldn't want to tie
Senator
yourself
Warnock
to
and
Trump.
Joe
I mean, I
Biden
know he
did
has
in
to. He
Afghanistan.
knows it
They
all
left
too,
their
but-
allies. They left their allies, and right now on a foreign stage, a lot of these people don't trust us no more. They don't trust us to be strong anymore. So they're
Dude,
waiting
Donald
to see
Trump
who's
just
going to
bailed
stand
on the
up,
Kurds,
who's going
like,
to trust.
straight
Now,
up.
and
What are you
they have no
talking
one to
about?
trust right now because I said President Trump is my friend, and he won't stand up with Biden when yet he's voted with him 96%
See, that's what I'm saying.
of the time.
Because that's how they'll take it. It's
Let's
not
be
that it's
real.
accurate, but that's what they'll do.
Mr. Walker, are you concerned about the ongoing legal investigations around the country and including here in Georgia? You have 30 seconds.
Well, first of all,
It's all
I would hope
lies.
that Senator Warnock, he and myself being people of color, would want the scales of justice to not have a hand on it. We want the Lady Justice to be blind, but in this
For the
instance
rich white
here,
guy?
Lady Justice is not blind. And I said, right now, with everything that is going on, what I like to do is get to what's important. What's important is protecting the border. What's important is protecting people on the street. What's important is getting this inflation down.
Okay.
Bro,
Not
you
what's
could walk
going
and
on
chew
there
gum
in
at the same
Washington,
time. Well,
talking
you
about
might not
whether
be able to.
President Trump is guilty or not guilty.
There's
What
no
I
way
want
that's
to do
true.
is see due process, which is what I hope Senator Warnock and myself would love to
Over.
see.
Changing topics now, we're going to move
Oh,
forward.
no,
Just to
you
give
should have let
guys
him
both
answer
an
that one.
update that you may want to know, although the news is not great if you're a Braves fan. Right now, they're in the top of the ninth inning, Game 3
didn't he
of
also
National
say
League
that,
Division
like,
Series, down 9-1 to
Did I
the
hear
Phillies.
Walker
Not a great
say
night for the
70%
Braves.
of drugs
Just a
from
few
the
weeks
southern
ago, the
border
World
end
Series
up-
champs, though, they
Yeah.
did visit the White House. Their
All
visit
of the
sparked a
fentanyl.
renewed
It's all
debate
there.
about the team's name and their signature.
Captain Crunk, I'm not trying to get
tomahawk
drunk.
chop. Mr. Walker, do you believe the
Drunk in
Braves
10
should
minutes.
rethink their name, their
On the
logo,
live
or their
stream.
signature cheer? You have 30 seconds.
Oh,
Not
here
at
we
all.
go.
You know, right now, we have too many other things to be concerned about. We have people dying on the streets in Atlanta, around the country. We have people living paycheck to paycheck, can't afford food to put on their table, can't afford gas. We have Putin out there. We have China out there. We can't be concerned about whether the Braves are going to change their name. We need to be concerned about saving this country.
fuck
We
Native
need to be
Americans.
concerned about saving
We
the
gotta be-
Georgia people.
we gotta
Like,
We
but
need
I
to be
really love
concerned
doing
about
this at
giving
games. It's
people
awesome.
a right to live the liberties and freedoms that the Constitution of the United States guarantees them to have.
After we
Warnock,
killed
same
all of
question
them.
to you. In regards to the Braves, do you
don't give a
think
fuck
they
about
should
Native
rethink their
Americans,
name, their
not at
logo,
all.
or their signature cheer?
Well, first of all, I'm praying for the Braves right about now. They've got a ways to go here. Listen, the management of the Braves is meeting with our tribes, and they're having a conversation about this. And I know the folks over at the Braves organization,
And again, like,
and I trust
it's
that
so
they
easy.
and the tribes that they're
You
talking
rename
to
them the Hammers
will come to a
because
place
that
where
has
it makes
historical
sense for all involved.
significance with Hank Aaron. You barely have to change
Senator
the
Warnock,
logo.
we're going to go ahead
Because
and
a hammer,
continue. We
it
want to get a
can be
few more
easily made out of
questions in
tomahawk.
tonight. Senator
Yeah,
Warnock,
and
some
you're
of your
done.
Senate colleagues have
like the
called for
Redskins.
expanding the number of seats on the Supreme Court. In 15 seconds, quickly, sir, would you support this?
What I support,
Expanding
listen,
the seats on the Supreme
Yes.
Court.
I think that my job as a senator
To 1,000.
is to protect the rights of
Infinity
ordinary
seats.
citizens.
Yeah, I don't give a
And for the
fuck.
first time, perhaps in my lifetime, we've seen those rights contract rather than expand.
Man, I really should just
Whether
run
we're
for the
talking
Senate.
about
I'd be
the
really good at
reproductive
just,
rights of women
hard answering these
or
questions.
voting
Yeah.
rights. And I'm gonna
You would
do
scare,
everything
you
I
would scare
can
the shit out of
to
Cedric.
protect the rights
Ah,
of
Jesus
ordinary
Christ.
people.
Thank
You're not
you,
even gonna, like,
Senator Warnock.
bullshit?
Mr.
No.
Walker,
This guy's
would you
extreme.
support expanding the number of seats on
Super
the
extreme.
Supreme Court? In 15 seconds, sir.
Yes,
How
when you
many
get in
seats
Washington,
are
you
on
have
the
to become a
Supreme
leader.
Court is the good question.
Being a leader, you have to make tough decisions. And you see on that answer there, he really didn't give you an answer. So my answer is no. I wouldn't know.
Well, yeah, dude. No one's asking you.
Thank you.
You have
Thank
the
you,
majority.
gentlemen.
That's a
Now we have
stupid
reached
point.
the point for
I'd be
our
like,
final
name all of the
moments
Supreme
this
Court
debate.
justices
A chance for
right now.
your closing
Name
remarks.
3.
And you have 60
that
seconds.
aren't
Each have 60
conservative.
seconds to answer, and Senator
What?
Warnock, you have the floor first.
Well, thank you so very much, Georgia. It's wonderful to be here. Listen, in this state, we have nearly 11 million people, and only 2 people get to represent us in the United States Senate, just 2. And when I think about that, it is an awesome responsibility, one that humbles me and inspires me to work as hard as I can for hardworking families every single day. And I've worked with Democrats and Republicans in order to do that work. These are difficult times. These are dark times. But the scripture says that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness overcometh it not. I'm honored to represent you in the Senate. I hope that you'll show up to vote early.
I mean, realize the
beginning
people
Monday.
that are cheering
I'd be
for
honored to have
Walker
your
also
vote.
are just
God bless
fucking
you. Keep
plants
the
if they
faith.
have them.
Mr. Walker, your turn for closing statements, and you have 60 seconds as well.
For those of you who are concerned about voting for me, a non-politician, I want you to think about the damage
Trump
politicians
did.
like Joe Biden and Raphael Warnock have done to this country. I want you to think about Raphael Warnock, what he said today. And I said he was going to try to give you some smooth talk and tell you what's happening. What's happening is this country is hurting. What's happening is we need leaders. So what I want to say to you, Senator Warnock,
Yeah, thank you.
is I want to thank you.
Thank you. It ain't no thing.
I want to
That's
thank you for
absolutely
this. But at the same time, I want to say Georgia needs leaders. They need leaders that's going to stand up for them. So let's think about if we give Senator Warnock 6 more years, think of what this country will become. I'm not sure if we can make up for that.
Gentlemen,
So I
thank
said
you.
vote for Hershel Walker.
Thank you both, gentlemen. That's going to conclude our
I'm good.
debate for this evening. Before we leave tonight, though, we want to remind voters that early voting begins in Georgia on Monday. It will run through November 4th. Election Day is November 8th.
Candidates, thank you. And we, of course, want to thank Plant Riverside District, Kessler Collection.
All right. So, overall, Brad, what were your thoughts?
I mean, again, like it's like I said, he fucking Homer Simpson his way through the debate, and I think Warnock did a good job. I do think that Warnock was, evasive on some questions for sure.
Yeah.
Like he definitely did a little tap dancing. Better than Herschel Walker just straight up not answering half of the questions that were asked of him.
What even is foreign policy?
Yeah,
like
I'm a little cheesed off that Warnock didn't come back. Like he's sitting here saying I'm not answering questions. Like he's not even addressing the substance of these questions.
Right. I just found that whole idea of like him not answering on foreign policy like at all was crazy. Right. Him saying things like 70% of all drugs from the border are ending up in Georgia. I'm like, really? What? See, my biggest thing, and it's the biggest detriment in this race to Democrats, is Raphael Warnock is too nice. Like he's running against inarguably a buffoon, right? Where if you had someone like Tim Ryan running against Hershel Walker, Jesus, because he would take every opportunity to just take a bat out and beat him over the head with it, right? So like Warnock is not the kind of guy who is going to
go for the jugular. Like he's going to stand up there. He's going to talk about what he wants to do. And basically ignore anything that Herschel Walker is saying, which I'm sure was what was advised of him. Like don't get the old saying, don't fucking roll around with a pig in mud, because all that happens is you get dirty and the pig likes it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's not how I would have run this campaign. I would have been like, yeah, no, let's fucking rock and roll, dude. We're both getting dirty. I'm gonna be a piece of shit. Like to me, when Walker said, oh well, about the abortion thing, well, you said, what about Black Lives Matter? All these black children or black potential children are being aborted, right? Because that's there's a large amount of women. African-American women who are getting abortions. That's true, right? That's a fact. I would have gone back to that, and I would have said, listen, like, I like Warnock's response, like, I believe women more than I believe politicians. That's a good line. Like, that's a good sticking line. But when he talked about gun violence, I'd be like, you don't want to do anything about guns. we have all of these African Americans who are dying. These are not potential children. These are actual children walking around. Why don't you care about them? Do you not support Black Lives Matter? Or is that just rhetoric for you? Like, look, there's pointing out facts, and then there is like taking a strong position, but there's also righteous indignation. And that's where you lay into that guy and be like, you don't care about these. Like, I would have called his ass out completely. I'd have been like, you don't care about Black Lives Matter. You just use it as rhetoric and a talking point to try to hit me on something earlier. Also, I definitely know you don't care about black kids in Atlanta because you don't even fucking live here. That's what you hit him with. Because those lines, those make it on the MSNBC and on CNN, and people go, oh, damn. Or it gets added onto Twitter and run like those fucking Tim Ryan lines. That's what you want, because that's the shit that gets shared by Atlanta, Georgia voters, by people all across the country, and they go, oh, shit, this guy's not fucking playing. So, like, Raphael Warnock's biggest issue is that he's just too nice. And that's, look, I mean, he's a fucking minister. He should be too nice. Like, he actually should be nice, but they need to be able to hit him harder. He needs like an advocate or something.
The one thing that I'm hoping
in his campaign that can hit like that
is so Walker did the typical Republican thing, because the questions were posed to be like, hey, what plans do you have? What would you suggest? What are your ideas? And of course, he didn't answer any of that shit because he doesn't fucking have any ideas or have any answers.
Joe Biden destroyed Kemp's healthcare plan. What healthcare plan?
That's right.
What did Joe Biden do?
Like, you want health insurance? You got health insurance. If you got able-bodied insurance, Jay, and you got other insurance, I guess somehow or another. I don't.
Like, know. I just want them to just one time be like, I need you to go, like, as Roland Martin says, I need you to go deeper than mustard on a hot dog. like, give me some details, dude.
But even on the question of abortion, like the question on abortion was to speak to a national ban. And that legislation that Republicans are floating, and Walker kept pivoting to like, oh, but here's this thing that Brian Kemp did. Well, you're not going to be the senator that, like, a state senator for Georgia, dude. You're going to be the
federal level
United States representative for fucking Georgia,
right? Because he said, oh, well, I'm
Brian Kemp doesn't matter,
right? And like, I mean, but it's fundamental that he doesn't even understand the job. Right? Like, he says, oh, well, I would meet with hospital administrators. You're not the mayor of a small town. You're a fucking senator. And to Warnock's credit, he was like, you said you'd be meeting with them. I'm going to be passing legislation, like helping everybody. And
Walker, even early in the debate, because I did get to watch the whole thing, even though I couldn't be on for the whole thing, is that, like, he's like, Warnock's talking about, like, yeah, I'm trying to represent Georgia. And Walker's like, yeah, but you're in Washington. Yeah, no shit, dude. That's the fucking job. Like, I'm representing Georgia in D.C. Like, you would too if you fucking won, you dumb.
He doesn't. I'm telling you, he fundamentally doesn't understand like what that job entails. He has no idea. Oh, you voted with Joe Biden 99% of the time or whatever. Yeah, he's a Democrat. And guess what? If you won, you would vote with Republicans 99, probably. Let's get real, 100% of the time.
Yeah,
right. Unless you just missed the vote. Like you are. So I never understand that argument. We don't need, I mean, look, I think it's important to like be against certain things if your party is for them and you don't agree with it. Like I have no problem with that. And I actually don't have a problem with reaching across the aisle when it makes sense. Warnock pointed that out. Like, look, I work with Rubio. I worked with, I think with Cruz on something like that mattered, right? And trying to get shit done. I don't have a problem with that. But this argument that we need 100 Mavericks, this is bullshit. It's a bullshit argument. It's a bullshit argument. 99% of the people in the Senate vote with their party 99% of the time. Yeah,
now they do. But actually, to your point, if everyone in the Senate was much more of an independent thinker and they did do the thing the Senate is supposed to do, which is come to consensus, that would actually be better. Like it actually
would be. I'm talking about what reality is.
Yes, that's the ideal version, and you are correct. Like in the political reality that we find ourselves in, where everything is fucking tribalized to hell. Yes, everyone is going to vote with their
team, right? So I don't understand why that argument, especially for Republicans, why that argument like hurts Democrats. Like you guys vote in lockstep more than Democrats do,
but they don't give a shit about. They don't give a shit about hypocrisy. The fact of the matter is, Walker doesn't have a record of voting with the Republicans because he's not been in elected office. So that's something that he can quote unquote hit Warnock with that he can't therefore be hit with.
I've never had a real job in politics, so you're the worst. Like, all right, you got it, bro. Like the other thing is when he says, Donald Trump is my friend, I would have been like, yeah, that's why you're running. because he asked
Yeah.
you to run because you were on his little TV show. I'm here to do the people's business, not here to try to further my career on television. See,
Well,
that's the type of shit you need to say. Be an asshole.
Those two go
Be an
way
asshole.
back. Those two go way back
Yeah, of course.
because like Trump signed him to his fucking USFL team back in the 80s out of college. So like, gave him a shitload of money. So like that was like, they go back way further than just, The Apprentice and shit like that. So they are joined at the hip, those two. He couldn't distance himself from Trump if he tried.
Yeah, two idiot peas in a pod. Those guys are both.
I don't know. Trump might be upset that Walker did acknowledge that Joe Biden won the 2020 election.
Yeah. I'm interested to see Trump's response, or Trump world's response on that. Like, come on, like, you guys gonna abandon him like you abandoned the last Georgia race because they said something you didn't care for? Like, we're not voting. Like, all right, don't vote. Don't let us get in your way. By all means, please stay home.
Keep an eye out for the truth. Like my good friend Hershel Walker, who's a great guy, obviously suffered some brain damage to say that Trump lost.
Clearly, he was mistaken. I'm very interested to see exactly what the fallout of this is. I mean, look, it's going to be a tight race anyway. It shouldn't be. It should be 99-1. It should be 99-1.
I mean, Warnock's opening salvo, and he repeated this many times, is like, look, Georgians have a choice. Me or this fucking guy.
Right,
it was basically what he was going with.
Like, guys, come on. Did you hear him? Were you is his mic on? So yeah, I was thoroughly unimpressed by Walker's performance. Ironically though, like, he did better than I thought he would. But that's not saying much, because I thought maybe he was going to throw up on himself. No, in fairness,
don't you dare Trumpify his debate performance.
No.
Because he didn't shit himself on stage. That somehow he
Timothy, the debate just finished. It was only an hour. I feel like I was expecting him to, like, quite literally throw up on himself. He did not. Thus, he won, according to like mainstream fucking media.
Therefore, he turned in a exemplary performance because he literally did not vomit all over the podium.
He did not fling shit at the screen or his opponent. Thus securing a top billing in this debate. So yeah, look, I thought Walker was terrible. I agree. Warnock did some tap dancing on some of the easy things, right? Mm-hmm. And look, I get it. He's a loquacious guy, right? Like, he wants to make a point. He wants to, like, dig into, like, sort of a little bit more nuanced stuff like that. And look, I'm like Joe Nuance, okay? Like, I love a good, nuanced, intelligent argument. But there are certain times, especially in politics, where they go, hey, would you support Joe Biden running in 2024? Yes, I do. Let me tell you why. Yes, that's a thing, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because of X, right? You don't give space for Herschel Walker to come behind you and go, I would support Trump, because of course he is, because he's simple-minded. But he's gonna say that and then turn around and be like, see, he don't want to support Joe Biden now, because then that narrative starts. It doesn't make it true, right? I know exactly what Warnock's point is, which is like, what the fuck are you talking about that? That's 2 years from now. I'm talking about this.
Not only that, but who gives a shit? Like, I'm in the Senate. I'm not in the executive branch. Like, I'm in Congress.
Right. But 100%, I get what he was doing, but I would have said yes first, then I would have done this spiel.
I agree that it's tap dancing is not a great strategy, especially when going into this, and also during the debate we saw, like, when Herschel Walker's pretty much his only attack line against you is like, oh, look at this slick guy, like, talking this Washington Slickster stuff. Like when you're tap dance, you're just
I'm a menace.
Lending credence to that characterization of you.
Right.
So.
I agree. And it's like, look, you got to remember, and this is gonna seem mean, and I mean it that way. Just so you know, people supporting Walker are as dumb or dumber than him. Right? Or these are just hardline party people, right? Like, they just not gonna move. But the people in the middle who are like, I don't know, Herschel Walker or Raphael Warnock, like, those people can be reached, but those people are not paying attention, right? They're really not paying. They couldn't possibly be, right? They're not really hardcore paying attention. So you need to grab them with short, fast shit that they go, oh, okay, got it. Like, you don't need them to have to decipher through that shit, because the more they have to decipher through what you're saying, the easier they can get pulled away by Herschel Walker going, I would support Trump. Like, because they'd be like, oh, well, at least he's being definitive. And maybe this guy, I don't know about this guy. You want to be able to say, hey, man, like, oh, that guy's supporting Biden? Because, look, it doesn't hurt Raphael Warnock to say he's supporting Biden. He's a Democrat. It's not like he's a Republican and they were like, do you support Donald Trump? And he was like, I don't know. Or he was an independent and was like trying to decide. Right. Dude, you're a Democrat. He's the fucking quarterback of your team. Yeah, I support him. Guess what? If he doesn't run in 2024, who gives a fuck? No one's going to remember this 2 weeks from now. No one's going to remember this after the election. Yes, I support him. And I would have said, I support him. And, you know, barring some sort of craziness, I support whoever is the top of our ticket in 2024, because I'm sure it'll be a person who is fighting for not just, you know, all Americans, but Georgians specifically. That's what you said.
That would have been a good answer. Yes.
Yeah. And then I'd have been like, and fuck this guy. Like, fuck this guy next to me, man. Like, but that's how you have to play that, because you don't want to give them any daylight. Like you said, you don't want to give this idea that you're tap dancing at all. Like Hershel Walker's whole strategy is, I'm speaking to you straight. Like, you understand what I'm saying. Well, you're not really saying much, and you're saying real simplistic shit, but it's easy to understand if you're ignoring the questions where he just gives word soup or word salad responses. But like, for the most part, he's just like, yep, nope, two, right? Like, he doesn't have a lot of shit there, right? He's not an in-depth guy. So like, that's where he needed to be just like definitive. But like, what pissed me off, like the biggest thing was the abortion shit. Like, they kept trying to stick Warnock like, no exceptions, right? Because that plays at this idea that like you're cool with like a baby being aborted at 8 months and 3 weeks. Like, come on, dude, that's nonsense. The argument should be, this guy wants to make sure women, even in the cases of rape and incest or health of the mother, can't make a decision. I am for letting women choose. Period. Right. Period.
Well, and Warnock's, and arguably
8 months, 6 months, or whatever. That's stupid to me.
And arguably his best line is that he said that, you know, Herschel Walker wants to give politicians more influence and power than God, essentially, and that and like that was a huge
that plays well there. Yeah. So look, those kind of things, that kind of stuff. Look, I'm not a religious guy, neither are you. So I'm kind of like, I'm annoyed that religion is even mentioned in any of this. Like, I'm like, it's irrelevant. But look, if you're gonna look, this is politics. You gotta use what you gotta use. Like, if that's what people vibing on, fucking run that reverend shit, man. Like, just do it. I did like I hadn't heard the story about the like evicting people. Thing, but I did like Warnock's response to that. It's like, so y'all trying to shit on Martin Luther King's church, like John Lewis's church? Okay, bro. Like, look, man, it's a lot of black folks in Atlanta. Like, I'm just saying, okay, but you go ahead and do that. So that was a smart strategy. I don't know how honest that is. I'm gonna take him at his word, because I feel like, dude, really don't fuck that up by like doing some shady shit as a minister. But there's nothing I've seen that I didn't like. I just didn't like he was as forceful in his denial. Like, it took him until the follow up to unequivocally say, this is true. So yeah, like, and again, he's trying to be too nice. He's trying to be too nuanced. And look, nuance matters. And you need those kind of things, but sometimes you got to hit somebody. You got to like punch him in the face and be like, that's not true. That's a lie. Not only is it a lie, but you're now trying to besmirch the church, my church, a church where we help people, where we feed people, right? Like, you just fucking run that rhetoric and be like, that we feed people every week, and these are the things that we do, right? And he jumped on that a little bit, but then I would have brought up, like, right at the end, I'd be like, and you never forget that this is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s church. This is, this is a historical church that matters not only to Georgian voters. This matters to American history. Like, that's that's that righteous indignation where people go, I probably wouldn't have hit that topic anymore, right? Like, you shut him the fuck down.
Well, and Walker's response to the personal abortion question, like, is, you know,
they went too light.
I don't believe. Oh, they absolutely did. But I'm saying I don't believe him. But like, that's the way to go, is just to outright be like, yeah, it's a lie. That's a lie. Now, you're right. They should have followed up, with the information that we know. But debate moderators are, I guess, don't do that kind of shit anymore because they're not here to fact check. They're just here to present the information and let the voters.
No, dude, I would have been like, oh, so because you read about this thing in the paper, this was my thing is real. I read in the paper the shit that you did. Yeah. Like, so what's the argument? Like, which standard are we going with, right? Could it not be completely true? Okay, all right then. Like, knock it off. But again, you got to get a little bit mean. And I know, like I don't expect it from him. But I'm like, could you just, like, is there tag team rules? like when is it set? Like, I'll just stand just on the outside. I'm like, reaching from the wing. Tag me in, Raphael. Dude, you're an asshole. All right. Go back in. Wow. No, that in my opinion, that should be how presidential debates are. Like, you tag in your VP. Yeah, you tag in your VP candidate. Like, that would be an awesome debate, by the way. It's like, you know what? Hold on a second. Oh shit! Here comes the best
part be you send the VP out to first to be the face in peril, and then like they make the hot tag to the presidential candidate who just comes in and just starts wrecking house on people.
My God, that's Joe Biden's music. It's coming. Yeah.
Listen,
let me tell
Jack,
you about my history.
No more malarkey.
We're done with that. Yeah, look, I think that's a solid debate change that we need to implement. You can tag in your VP. That would be awesome, dude. Like, oh shit, son. Don't ask about foreign policy. His VP is not to be fucked with. Like, this is a problem. That'd be awesome. Like, we don't need a vice presidential debate and a presidential debate. One debate or like two debates, but you get to tag in your VP.
Yeah.
Like, that would be badass.
So the good news is apparently, like, so my biggest concern was like if Kemp did well, then Walker was going to do well. Apparently, according to polling, there are a shitload of like Kemp Warnock voters in Georgia, which again doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But
yeah,
I'll take it.
I mean, apparently a lot of people are saying that, like, which doesn't bode well for Stacey Abrams.
No.
I look, it sucks, and I hate to say this, but I think she's probably going to lose, and I think it's just because the shit is fucking rigged. Like, I do. I think Kemp has purged so many more voters off the rolls. He keeps doing it. Look, if she pulled it out, that would be awesome, but I think she's got a hard road. What I'm hoping is that people realize how fucked Georgia politics is, especially at the governor level, and they don't write her off as a person who could really do some fucking serious good on the national level, because I think she could. And I think she's really, really good. I think people would be crazy not to pick her up as a VP choice at some point. I think you'd be crazy not to.
Yeah, and I mean, Warnock spoke to that because they talked about how, like, he's talked about how the laws made it harder to vote for, minority voters. But
I was told it was easier and harder to cheat.
By Hershel Walker, yeah. Well, again, he's just going based on the fact that, like, oh, we've had better turnout than like ever in the past, 2 elections for Georgia, but you're saying it's harder. And I thought Warnock's answer was great. He's like, yeah, just because people are overcoming it doesn't mean that it's that barriers were not put in place and that people, are not made to, to jump through stuff. And he talked about how, like, hey, like, isn't it weird that the lines are like 6 hours long in some areas where Black people live and not so long in others? Like, that's super strange. Like that.
He's right, and it's a good thing to point out, but you got to explicitly say that.
Yep.
I would explicitly say that. I'd be like, in African American neighborhoods, the lines are 6 hours. In predominantly white neighborhoods, the lines are considerably shorter, where people are, and like, look, have a stat with you, right? Like, people are waiting 20 minutes versus people waiting 6 hours. And I'd be like, hey, you thought you mentioned Black Lives Matter. Let's talk about that. Throw that one in. Like, find a thing he said, and then you use that as a fucking cudgel, and you beat him over the head with that. Every time you get a chance to pivot back to slamming him on Black Lives Matter because he tried to embarrass you on it, hurt him on that shit every time. You're a black man. Why are you okay with this? I'm not okay with it. Okay, what you gonna do about it?
I think Warnock was kind of running his playbook in the debate. I don't think that he felt it necessary to react to a whole lot of what Hershel Walker was doing.
Look, I'm just talking about. At this point, I'm just talking about, like, yes, Raphael Warnock is a lovely, nice guy. I wish we had a Tim Ryan style dickbag in a way running against him. But I think Warnock is likely going to win this. At least that's my perspective. I don't know. We'll see how this shakes out. But yeah, I mean, I agree. He was running, like, he had a plan and he was going to run that plan. And look, and he did. But I feel like in these close races, sometimes you gotta cut their legs from under them a little bit. Like you do.
I mean, on the plus side, I don't think that this debate changes anything. Like, I don't think that there's like people that were considering Warnock that are all of a sudden like, whoa, Hershel Walker, you know, like this guy.
that would be wild. Yeah. That would be that would be a wild change. This guy's making a lot of points.
Right. He's making a lot of sense.
No, he's not. but like, it would be wild for someone to watch this and be like, yeah, Hershel Walker, he's my guy. Like, okay, like, strange. But yeah, I don't think they're changing any big minds. Like, I don't think people are like wildly changing. I can't imagine Hershel Walker people being like, oh, Raphael Warnock, I got it. Now I see what all the fuss is about. Like, they're already dialed in. And look, that doesn't say anything positive or negative about either candidate. It's just, I think the lines are already drawn. I mean,
I think that's correct. Yeah, what is that's my question is, like, truly, if you are truly like a swing voter in Georgia,
how?
What the fuck are you looking for? Like what is it you're trying to glean out of these two candidates? I think on one hand you have a mushmouth fucking brain damaged idiot, and on the other hand you have someone that can actually speak in complete sentences.
You know what I honestly think it is? They're looking for that one statement that's like that. It's like the boom statement, like, you know, like, there he goes again, like, oh shit, he said it, right? Like, I think sometimes people look for that. They're like, they look for, and they look. One thing Walker is correct about is people like strength. They do, right? Like, that's a thing Democrats in general have had to figure out over time, and they have learned it the hard way. It's like, you do have to lead with strength. I'm not talking about like foreign policy and shit like that. I'm talking about like in politics, you got to come off strong, man. And like, when people see people who are that don't come strong, like, they feel like, like, is this guy gonna, like, because especially Republicans, they're like, is this guy gonna protect me? Because they always want a daddy, right? Like, that's their fucking thing.
But what's ironic about that is that that's not Hershel Walker either. Like Hershel Walker's not up there like the fucking strong man, like at least Trump, like, fucking, you know, is that guy. Like Trump at least was the I alone can fix it. Like, he at least tried to project that image.
Yeah,
Hershel Walker's not doing that.
Yeah, just strong. Strong.
Yeah, what's his argument? I played football. Like is how it's fucking going on? So
I mean, that's his entire campaign. That's why he's running in fucking Georgia. I play football here, and it's like, yeah, but like, you don't actually live here. I play football here. But again,
I did live here for 4 years.
Yeah, you're welcome. Many a touchdown. Let me make decisions for women's reproductive systems for the whole country because football.
Yeah.
What the fuck country do we live?
Brian says they always want a deadbeat daddy. That's a perfect description.
I like that. Look,
and it works. And it works in more ways than one when we're talking about Hershel Walker.
yeah, that's not bad. Look, again, a dickbag candidate for the Democrats, they'd use that line. Like, look, we're here to help you, but we're not trying to be your daddy. You're deadbeat, daddy. As you look over at the podium, like, oh.
What I'm really hearing is that if, you know, Warnock wins and let's say he decides not to run again, or if Hershel Walker wins and when he runs again, you want to move down to Georgia and carpetbag your way.
No, I'm carpetbagging. I'm coming. Ask me questions, man. Are you serious? Holy shit. My opponent is an idiot. Like, you can't say that. Oh, sorry. Is it on the record?
I mean, that'll be great. I can move down with you. We'll be your campaign manager. I mean, between the two of us, like, you know, all we need to do is bring like $100,000. We'll each be able to buy mansions. It's fine. Like, it's, you know, it'll be no problem.
That's true. Move right in. Yeah, I just like I would love to on one debate, I would love to just be a coach of one of these Democrats and be like, what are you playing patty cakes for? Fucking kick his fucking back in, dude. Like, because all you need is like 3 really devastating lines that are true. They can't be inaccurate. You can't say some like half-ass shit. You gotta say it, and you gotta say that shit with your chest, right? You say it and it's accurate, that hurts them. Like, look at Tim Ryan. Tim Ryan kicked that dude's fucking back in with that shit. This JD Vance is a fucking kiss ass. Roll the tape.
If you have not seen highlights from the Ryan Vance debate, do yourself a favor and seek them out. Like literally, like Tim Ryan's on stage being like, I'm not saying that he's an ass kisser. Donald Trump said that he was an ass kisser right before he went on stage with him. Like,
and then
he's talking shit through his face.
Yeah, it's like what kind of guy lets another man take his dignity? I was like, Jesus, dude, take it easy. But he came with that. He knew he had that shit in his back pocket. Like, I'm gonna say that shit, right? It's the same thing. People don't forget those lines, man. They go, I remember that time Tim Ryan fucking like did an RKO on that guy on national television. That shit was wild, right? Same thing. Elizabeth Warren with the Bloomberg thing. Like, yeah, we got to worry about this real piece of shit in the election. Oh, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mike Bloomberg. And everyone was like, nobody remembers anything else about that debate. They remember her fucking setting Mike Bloomberg on fire on national television.
It could, like I said, when she dropped that line, I was waiting for the fucking gif of the guy like, oh!
Yeah, it was over, dude. It was over. What else did he say? What else could he say? He immediately just like got out of the race and he was like, Democrats, here's a bunch of money. Go beat Trump. Yeah. Like, hey, dude, she destroyed him. Like, but that was the thing people remember. So you got to have a couple of those. I mean, look, I did appreciate Warnock. He got mean one time where he was like, I have no problem with the cops. I didn't lie about being a cop. And he was just like, I mean, he didn't. So like, but that, like, that's what you need. You need a little bit of oomph. So we'll see. I look, I still think Warnock will take it. It'll be tight.
I hope so.
Look, I can't deal with weekly news of Hershel Walker in the Senate. Like, I can't. Like, I can't. Like, no, please no. God no. But I do think I think Democrats are doing well in these debates. I mean, I don't know if you saw that clip of Big Gretch kicking the shit out of her opponent last night too. Disaster.
I saw that. I saw Mark Kelly punching Blake Masters in the face constantly.
Yeah.
During his debates as well. So
I mean, yeah, it's like it is a astronaut versus a Nazi. like this one should be pretty easy. But again, like Democrats are like, yeah, take the gloves off, man. Take the gloves off. Like that's the only way you're gonna win this. Take the gloves off, kick the shit out of these guys, and look, don't feel bad about it. Don't.
Fuck
Absolutely not. Yeah, fuck them.
Trust me. You ain't even gonna think about that shit for the next 6 years.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree. Good Lord, imagine 6 years of that guy. No, thank you.
Yeah. Like I said, the only way that I would tolerate Herschel Walker in the Senate is if he was the 40th Republican vote and the Democrats had 60. Like,
yes, that would be fine. That'd be fine.
That's the only way that I would tolerate this, just so we could laugh at Republicans for 6 years.
No, that would 100% be A-okay with me. Oh, do you have no power? Great. Like, it's awesome. Please, by all means, go on TV. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Your irrelevant nonsense. All right, so that, I think, is going to be it for us. Look, sorry about the audio issues, guys. I didn't have the chat up to see that early on. I apologize. Brad, thank you for finally jumping on. That was fun. Is there another debate before the midterms?
I don't know. I feel like they're all happening right now.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out if there's another big one. I mean, this was one I definitely wanted to see.
I mean, again, we just wanted to mock Herschel Walker. That's all we wanted to do. Because it worked out. It's so easy. So
a little too easy. Yeah, it's like. Yeah, Chris Rock had a whole thing about that in Double Dribble. So yeah, whatever. So whatever. All right, that'll be it for us. That is this week's show. Just because if the audio issues work out in the recording, I will I'll post it. If not, don't worry about it. We'll have a full show because there is plenty to talk about.
Look, there is.
Oof.
Donald Trump's very bad, no good day. Yesterday.
Supreme Court, help me. No. Damn it. So yeah, not good. I saw that one last night. I was like, ooh, that's fun. Like that's just good news. That bodes well for, like the law. So that's great. Democracy.
Future presidents being held to account, maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. So yeah, we will see you guys next week. It'll probably be early next week, so that we can actually have a a formal show. Yes, Fly since 87. If the audio works from the first half, I will I'll edit it together and I'll put up a video on the YouTube page. All right. Okay. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.